Steelers Nation, buckle up, because the buzz around this team has gone from quiet curiosity to full-blown urgency, and everything happening behind the scenes right now is shaping the energy for this matchup in Chicago. The biggest storyline hanging over the building these past few days has nothing to do with outside noise, nothing to do with speculation, and nothing to do with fans trying to piece together what they think will happen. This is about the coaching staff and the players needing absolute clarity as they roll into their final stretch of preparation. When a team is heading into the last full practice of the week, there is no space for mystery about the most important position on the field. You can't operate an offense on uncertainty. You can't sharpen timing, chemistry, decision-making, or rhythm if the guy touching the ball every single snap is still a question mark. And that's exactly why the situation with the quarterbacks has reached the point where the Steelers need to decide today. Not tomorrow. Not when they arrive in Chicago. Today. The vibe around the facility this week has been strange. Not chaotic, but tense, like everyone's waiting for the signal, and nobody wants to be the first one to blink. And part of that came from the limited look we got during practice. The listing didn't tell anyone much. The comment from the staff didn't give away anything either, staying in that vague, non-committal zone that coaches love whenever they want flexibility. They talked about contingency plans, staying ready for multiple scenarios, keeping all options open, but none of that helps the team in the moment when they have to finalize reps and lock in on what the offense is going to look like on Sunday. The reality is simple. Everyone on that offense needs to know who is leading them. The linemen need to understand the cadence and tempo. The tight ends need the timing down for their option routes. The receivers need to feel the rhythm of the ball coming their way. And that's not even about emotions or drama. That's football. That's preparation. That's how you get ready to win a game on the road. Earlier this week, I brought up the idea that dragging this decision all the way to Sunday morning would do far more harm than good, and some people didn't love hearing that. But that doesn't change the truth. When the team is trying to get dialed in for a tough matchup, uncertainty helps no one. And if we're being completely honest, there's a pattern worth paying attention to with the way certain veteran quarterbacks handle injuries, availability, and influence inside a building. It isn't a rumor. It isn't gossip. It's well-documented history. The insistence on being the starter, no matter the physical condition, the pushing, the pressure placed on staff, the exhausting back and forth that forces everyone around the player into a corner. That's not a fairy tale. That's a real thing that happens. And when someone has a track record of dragging situations out until the last possible moment, you can't just pretend it didn't happen. Now, none of that means the same thing is happening here. But you can look at the energy, connect a few dots, and understand why this week felt a little foggy. That's why clarity needs to come today. That's why dragging this into the final hours before kickoff would be a mistake. And before anyone jumps to wild conclusions, this isn't about permanently replacing one quarterback with another. That's not the point. This isn't about debates or franchise labels or long-term futures. This is about one single football game in Chicago. One night, one opponent, one chance to keep the momentum going. If the starter is healthy enough to play real football, not just exist on the field, then of course he is going to start. That has been the expectation from the moment he arrived in Pittsburgh. But playing through a minor setback is one thing. Playing through a fractured wrist, while your recent performances already slipped because you were avoiding hits, is a completely different discussion. That's not toughness. That's risk. And it's a risk that doesn't help anyone. The other quarterback stepped in not long ago and handled the moment. He didn't just survive the situation. He helped win the game. He looked prepared, composed, and ready to run the show. When you have a guy who's healthy, capable, and just delivered results, it's only logical to keep him ready if the starter is dealing with something that could get worse. This isn't complicated. Protect the injured player from himself. Protect the team from unnecessary uncertainty. Give the offense the stability it needs to operate at full speed. And most importantly, give yourself the best chance to win the game that's right in front of you. Nothing more, nothing less. The head coach has a history with high-profile quarterbacks, and anyone who watched those years closely knows exactly how much influence certain players held in the building. That era is gone, but the habits can linger. This time, the decision has to be rooted purely in performance and health, not reputation or past achievements. If later today the team names the healthier quarterback as the starter, I think that would reflect a choice grounded in logic, preparation, and the desire to win now. If the starter ends up sitting out, it wouldn't be an indictment of his ability or his value. It would be the team finally choosing the smart path, the path that doesn't gamble with someone's long-term health while also giving the Steelers a real chance to walk out of Chicago with another win. And that one matters. Not because of outside narratives, not because of validation, but because the standings are tight and every single game plays a role in shaping the season. The team is in a position where the margin for error is thin and momentum is everything. Getting this decision right means hitting the field with focus, with confidence, and with a full week of preparation behind the guy leading the offense. When we look at Chicago, we're not talking about some pushover. The Bears have been stacking wins, and even though people love pointing to their opponents' records, the truth is that the National Football League doesn't hand out easy victories. Their offense has been explosive, built around a dynamic mix of young talent, and a ground game that refuses to slow down. They put up serious yardage all season, with a rushing attack that ranks near the top of the league. They've spread the carries across multiple backs, kept defenses guessing, and their quarterback has shown he can escape the pocket and create something out of nothing. Even their defense, which doesn't dominate statistically, finds ways to shift games with turnovers. That's something you cannot underestimate. They take the ball away better than any team in the league. When you face a group like that, the one thing you cannot afford is sloppy preparation or uncertainty at the quarterback position. You need someone who is fully locked in, someone who isn't limited physically, someone who can step onto the field and protect the football while also attacking when the opportunities come. When you look deeper into what this matchup means for the Steelers, it becomes clear that this week isn't just about surviving a tough environment or escaping a primetime trap. This is the kind of week where a team reveals whether it's truly ready to evolve. If you rewind the season, you can see flashes of growth mixed in with frustrating setbacks. And that combination is exactly why clarity at quarterback becomes even more critical. You don't want a team that finally found a rhythm last week suddenly having to adjust last minute because the decision came too late. Rhythm is everything in football. It affects timing between quarterbacks and receivers. It affects the confidence of the offensive line, and it affects the tone of every single drive. Chicago's defense thrives on unpredictability. They blitz from odd angles, disguise coverages pre-snap, and rely heavily on baiting quarterbacks into mistakes. If you walk into that kind of setup without a full week of consistent practice reps, you're already putting yourself behind the chains before the first whistle. And the one thing this Steelers team cannot afford is to dig themselves into early holes, not against a unit that lives off turnovers and momentum swings. If this game turns into a back-and-forth battle, you can't risk an offense that spent the week operating in limbo. Another layer to all this is the sheer confidence boost the offense gets when it knows exactly who is leading them. These are professionals, but they're also humans. When the group senses certainty, they play faster. They trust more. They stop second-guessing. The receivers explode off the line with conviction. The running backs time their cuts cleaner. The linemen anticipate snap cadence instead of reacting late. That energy becomes contagious, and you can feel the entire unit lift. Preparation becomes cleaner. Film sessions become sharper. And when that team steps on the field, the mindset is entirely different. They aren't reacting to the game. They are dictating it. Contrast that with the kind of week where nobody knows who the starter is until the final walkthrough. You get split reps, split focus, and split direction. Sure, both quarterbacks prepare like professionals, but the offense as a whole doesn't function at peak level when everything is split down the middle. You want the guy who is taking the first reps on Sunday to be the guy who took those reps all week. That's how you win close games. That's how you avoid the type of sloppy mistakes that have cost the Steelers earlier this season. And that's how you survive a team like Chicago that is waiting for any sign of hesitation. And make no mistake, Chicago is not the type of team you want to give extra possessions to. You hand them one short field, they turn into points. You give them one opportunity to flip momentum, and their crowd turns into a tidal wave. Their quarterback might be young, but he isn't lacking confidence. He runs with purpose, He throws with aggression, and he plays with that fearless energy that can be dangerous if you let him settle in. And when you pair that with a running game that pounds defenses until they were down, the Steelers will need a complete, disciplined effort to stay ahead. This is one of those weeks where the Steelers' defense must stay patient. They can't bite on every play action, can't crash too aggressively on the edge, and can't allow their eyes to drift away from the backfield. Chicago loves to toy with defenders' discipline. They motion constantly, they fake end-arounds, they hide their backs behind pulling linemen, and they rely on misdirection to open lanes. If even one defender guesses wrong, suddenly they're breaking off a big run and the crowd is roaring. And once that building gets loud, the momentum swings become even more volatile. But the Steelers have handled these kind of challenges before. They've won road games where they were counted out. They've slowed down offenses that were supposedly unstoppable. And they've turned games around with discipline, effort, and an opportunistic mindset. That's why putting the right quarterback on the field is such a huge factor. It gives the entire team a chance to match the Bears' energy early and not spend the night clawing back. You can almost feel that the coaching staff is balancing two different missions. On one side, they're trying to protect the long-term health of the roster. On the other, they're trying to win right now because the standings demand urgency. The margin in the division is razor thin. One slip, one misjudgment, one poorly managed injury, and suddenly the Steelers go from leading the pack to scrambling behind teams that aren't slowing down. That's the reality of this league. Every week matters. Every decision matters. You don't get a pause button. And while the fan base has been debating back and forth about which quarterback should get the nod, the truth is that inside the locker room, the players just want clarity. They want someone they can rally around, someone who is fully capable of leading 14 or 15 drives without hesitation. They want to know what voice they'll be hearing in the huddle, what rhythm they'll be operating in, and what type of tempo they'll be working with. They want certainty, and they want it before stepping into that final practice. This game is also a chance to see how the Steelers handle success. Last week's win, regardless of how messy certain parts of it were, showed heart and resilience. But teams in the National Football League are judged on consistency just as much as talent. You can't shine one week and stumble the next. You can't look like a contender in one quarter and then disappear in the next. The great teams build rhythm. They stack wins. They stabilize their identity. And this is one of those games where the Steelers can prove that they aren't just surviving season chaos. They're starting to grow through it. Chicago has their strengths, but they have weaknesses too. Their defense gives up yards. They allow chunk plays. They struggle in red zone situations. And while they create turnovers, they also leave windows of opportunity if an offense stays disciplined and smart. But to take advantage of those windows, the Steelers need a quarterback who is operating at full strength, not fighting through pain, not hesitant on throws, not avoiding contact. They need someone who can stand tall in the pocket, deliver accurate passes, and keep the offense moving with confidence. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. It's official, or at least as official as the whispers on the street can get. Odell Beckham Jr., one of the most electrifying wide receivers the NFL has ever seen, is reportedly joining the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the rumor mill is already spinning faster than a kickoff return. Sources close to the team hint at a move that could shake the league and bring a new level of excitement to Heinz Field. Fans are buzzing, social media is on fire, and everyone seems to be asking the same question. What exactly does this mean for Pittsburgh? Beckham, known for his gravity-defying catches and highlight reel plays, has always been a game-changer wherever he goes. If the Steelers front office is pulling the strings to make this happen, it could signal a bold attempt to revamp their offense and inject some serious star power into a roster that's been craving headline-grabbing talent. Rumors suggest that the deal isn't just about stats. It's about spectacle, about bringing the kind of electrifying energy that only OBJ can deliver. Insiders claim the wide receiver has been in constant contact with Pittsburgh's coaching staff, and while nothing is set in stone, the excitement is palpable. Fans are imagining what it would be like to see him line up alongside the team's top talent, making defenders look foolish with that signature catch-and-run style. Speculation is already swirling around potential chemistry with the quarterback, and analysts can't stop debating how Beckham's presence might change the dynamics of the passing game. Some are cautious, pointing out that injuries and past team changes make any deal a gamble. But let's be honest, when OBJ is involved, it's never boring. The mere possibility of him suiting up in black and gold has people buzzing in the stands, on podcasts, and across every fan forum imaginable. Whether it's jaw-dropping catches, viral moments, or sheer on-field theatrics, Pittsburgh could be in for a season that's equal parts thrilling and unpredictable. For now, it's all speculation and whispers, but one thing's for sure. The rumor alone has Steelers fans dreaming big. If it happens, OBJ in Pittsburgh won't just be a signing. It could be a spectacle, a statement, and a reason for the league to keep its eyes firmly on Heinz Field. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.